Look, that's a crazy thing to say. Like, how does a referee say that to a player? He's not short of a quid. He's earned squillions and he's a tight ass, so he's still got plenty of it. You literally stand there and watch your car go zoom, zoom, and then that's it. Like, that's all you do.
Yeah, Matty Sullivan has joined us today off the extended bench. We've had to play the injury card with Benny going down foot injury. Joey's sick, who was going to fill in. So, Matty, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. Happy to be the 19th man coming off the bench. So, thanks for having me on. I'm excited to chat some footy.
Beautiful. Did you see Jimmy? Troll's had a sneaky jab back at you on his Instagram story.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. I didn't know that. Well, it's good to have him back, mate. I hope he read everything I said, not just the headline, because, we did say that he'd been burnt.
I'm pretty sure we were the good guys, weren't we?
Yeah,
well, it was all Ben's fault.
We were in support of him, so I'm not sure what Benny's done with his headlines, but, mate, it's good. He was at his best again on the weekend, you know. Incredible game, and, again, like kicking that, I thought they had it when he obviously, you know, went straight over Ponga, scored that unbelievable try, and then kicks the decisive goal, and then, unfortunately, they made an error and it wasn't to be, but mate, he's in great form, and it's good to see with Origin around the corner.
Absolutely, that was an outstanding. I really enjoyed that game of footy. I enjoyed Latrell, but Newcastle looked really good with Ponga back. Dylan Brown was very good, and Dylan Lucas and Bradman Best. All the big guns that came back looked great on Sunday afternoon. Matty, did you see that game?
No, I only saw the highlight of Latrell bulldozing poor old Ponga in the corner.
Absolutely clean him up. It was a wild game decided in last minute. These 80-point aggregate games, are they good for the NRL, do you reckon?
Look, I suppose it depends what you want to see. I think at the moment it's just, it's hard on moment. Like, we still get the tight games, so it's not all the time. I think it's just some sides that, you know, are more suited to the attacking brand than, you know, the defensive side of it. You know, when a couple of those get together, you start seeing big points. But even Newcastle have been, the last few years, their defence has been okay, hasn't it? You know, so, look, it was exciting that it come down to that. And it still went down to that last play where Trell, you know, tried to carry another 5 guys and, you know, just dropped the ball. But, I suppose you get them regardless in other years. Maybe now with the 6 again and how often it's being blown. And
well, I think on the weekend 4 teams conceded more than 36, if I'm correct, including Brisbane, obviously the Tigers.
The losing scores are getting higher and higher.
The higher scores, do they correlate with high amount of 6 agains? Has anyone done any?
I'm sure smarter people didn't think to look at that. I would look at it for next week.
Because it would be interesting to see like score lines to ruck infringements and when everyone's talking about momentum and how much that influence points being scored, you know, after the back of multiple ruck infringements, there seems to be points. So it'd be interesting.
I had seen a stat that Melbourne were actually the worst at converting multiple sets, and you can see how they're struggling. I think the teams that have adapted well to just rolling on the back of that momentum of the teams going well.
I think Melbourne are just shocked confidence-wise. Yeah. I think they're obviously struggling with punch, and obviously if you're playing a momentum-based game, to have punch and get on the front foot is where your momentum starts and where you create it. I think they look like they're struggling to create that, and they're just second-guessing. I think they're in, you know, a bit of a negative headspace. It's hard when you're not winning footy games. And actually, I heard Munster talking about it, I think, last night. You know, just how he's second-guessing things and things aren't going his way. So, it's a hard time, but, you know, they'll get out of it, I'm sure, at some point.
What are you making of the current product now? It's your first time with the mic in front of you. What do you think, Matty, where it's at?
I think it's entertaining for fans, and the crowds are turning up, particularly for games at Leichhardt and Brookie. The fans are voting with their feet, so it's a good sign. But I don't personally love it. I would rather see, I think it's good they've outlawed crazy coat hanger tackles and things like that, but I think in Origin we're going to see a bit more of coming back to the historical footy of what we've seen in that kind of 24-12 scoreline. I don't I think it's taken a bit of the fizz out of some of the games. Like I think, but like you said, Jimmy, there's some absolute ripping games throughout the season, like the Penrith Bulldogs game, where it's just really close, lots of defence, players coming off their line. So I think it depends, but I think we've had enough of a sample size so far this season to show that the six agains are having an impact, and I think most rugby league fans would say it's they would prefer a bit more of a defensive contest. Yeah,
I think their game seems to always, like, it goes through periods, and I even think now we're starting to level itself out. Like you start seeing, you know, for ages it was ridiculous on the high contact. Now we're starting to see minor contacts that have been left. Like someone's down and there's no ruling. Like it's get up, play it, and they're moving on. But there's so much, I think, I don't know where they do, like, the referees and coaching the referees, but like, did you hear the comment from the ref around when Ponga shot out?
Yeah,
and hit that thing, and he goes, "Mate,
it was too hard." Was it?
Yeah, reduce your force.
Yeah,
like,
that's it. Yeah.
Look, that's crazy thing to say. Like, how does a referee say that to a player?
Yeah.
Like, you know, if you're refereeing the game, and you know, if it wasn't outside the realm of, you know, something to be penalised, then how do you say? So that sort of shows an example of, like, that they're not understanding the game, or I don't know what they're being coached on. Even it was lucky probably the decision, the obstruction on Nathan Cleary for Manly's try was the most blatant obstruction we've ever seen. Like, we've been through this period of our game, like, for years where it was like they couldn't understand what an obstruction was, and we'd get all these stupid calls, but that is an obstruction every day of the week. And then for the referee and then the bunker to say it didn't affect the play shows they don't understand the game. Yeah. So I don't know what they're getting coached. Like, I don't know when they all go there, whoever coach, I don't know who coaches the referees, but surely whatever they're teaching them around, you know, how they're officiating, they're not coaching them understanding of the game, if that makes sense. Like, even the six agains, like, every decision on a footy field, every penalty is discretionary because it's at the referee's discretion. They're in charge of what's this. So there's no, like, black and white. So it's not, if you hold on if it's 3 second play the ball, that's a six again. If it's 6, you know, because there'll be a 6 second play the ball that doesn't get anything. There'll be a 2 second one that gets a six again, depending on how they're feeling it, because the refs feel the game. Like, if they're on the back foot and they feel like they've got it, so it's always discretionary. But I think if you're going to coach and teach the referees, you've got to teach them to understand the game, to feel the game and stuff like that, you know. And I think when we get to Origin, or I hope for dear life that we go back to how Origin's ref normally. And every time, the crazy thing that I find is every year when Origin comes around, if the refs stay out of it, the best side wins, and everybody applauds and goes, how good a game that was. But then we go back to NRL and we blow the shit out of the whistle again. Like that just blows my mind, how we don't understand that everyone appreciates when the ref can take a backwards seat. You know, if there's, you know, constant stuff and it needs to be blown, they blow it. But as soon as they do that, everyone gets applauded, and then they go back the next week and change it completely.
Yeah, I think six agains have changed that back and forth adversarial kind of nature of rugby league, where you just, and it's kind of that war of attrition that we see in Origin and big games, where the refs tend to put the whistle away, and it's made it almost a different style of, has made it a different style of game. And it was interesting hearing Serraldo talk the other night after the loss to the Cowboys, I think it was, and like how, as the attacking side, he was saying, I think this was kind of an excuse for their poor attack, but he was finding it difficult for them to make inroads because the Cowboys were on their line, and having repeat sets was almost like a disadvantage for the attacking team. It's just completely changed the the style of rugby league we're seeing. I reckon.
I think there's a big difference if you're attacking. If you're attacking down the field, a 6 again's a massive value. If you're slowing down the ruck on your try line, where you could get off the thing, and 6 again is not a.
Yeah,
it's not
giving up your first or second to have a set line.
Yeah. Being able to go 6 again, because sides on that try line, if you've got good goal line defence, you can just defend that all day. That's not it.
That's why they brought in the scrum penalty, isn't it? Like in the last couple of years, where for the set, if you do it twice, you get the sin bin.
They also tried to say, well, if there was repeated infringements on your goal line, that would then go to the bin, because
there's never consistency.
Deliberately done, but it's not followed through on. So
was there interesting when you played, when these directives came out? It's just a random thought. When these directives came out over the course of a season, say 2 or 3 times a year, that's how we're going to do this or do that for the next few rounds. Did that translate down to you, or did the coaches ignore it, and once it came out in the game, they got to whinge about it?
No, you get told, and it's like anything. It doesn't matter what you do. There'll be sides that, okay, this is how it is. There's no point whinging about it. Like this, if this is how it is, okay, how do we best do things if these are the parameters? Like, everyone's trying to take advantage as best they can of the way the game's played and get the most out of it. So, some sides will do it better than others at different times, but that's what everyone's going to do. If there's no point going, it shouldn't be like that. If the refs are going, this is how it's going to be, then you have to go, okay, how are we going to adjust? What are we going to do around this? But, yeah, I just think every year we seem to tinker with rules, which I don't think is necessary. Like, even this year, that disruptor one that come through at the start, like, that was always really a penalty.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you just blatantly jumped and took their fullback out without competing to the ball, that was a penalty already. So, they just put this big emphasis on it, and then, for a few weeks we see everything going a bit crazy. Then it settles down a bit and it works itself out. Like,
with that disruptor, we had they had that thing with the 2 hands in the air for the first 2 weeks. They got rid of that.
Because
that was absolute farce.
That was ridiculous. Like, so what? You can't knock a ball back with one hand.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
That Robert Toya disallowed tries, the other all-timer.
How good's rugby league?
I know. Well, we'll come back to the Storm. The other news out of Melbourne was the medical diagnosis for Craig Bellamy. Came out, he has a neurodegenerative disorder. We saw on the weekend Frank Panisi attended the press conference in lieu of Craig, and obviously thought it was him and his family. Do you think he lasts the next couple of years there, or do you think he signed a 2-year extension? Do you think they try and transition out? Billy Slater said he may well come out and get involved. Should he be asked, he'd be there in a heartbeat, he said. But
yeah, look, I've thought for ages, like, Bellyache, he's been talking about giving it away for a long time, and he keeps sort of going another year and it keeps extending. This might change it for sure, because I think, it puts a lot into perspective, maybe, and then, we only know a broad idea about what it is. We don't really know the whole kit and caboodle of it, but I think, it's sad for our game, because everyone in rugby league, I think, he holds so much respect across all clubs, all teams, everywhere, and I suppose even for me, he was a bloke who gave me my debut jersey in Melbourne, so crazy to think, that something like this could happen to a guy like Craig. But yeah, maybe he sits back now and says, you know what, I can spend more time with my family. He's not short of a quid. He's earned spurions and he's a tight ass, so he's still got plenty of it. So, but I'm sure he'll do what is best suited to him. I'm sure Melbourne will give him the option. It'll be on his terms. I think that's why he's been able to go dictate when he wants to finish. I'm sure what he's done for that club, they will support him and they will let him do it on his terms. And I suppose we all just wish him well, mate. So, and hopefully Melbourne can win some games for him, because if anyone deserves, to go out on a decent note, it's Bellyache.
Well, they've got the Tigers this week at the right time, so they'll bounce back.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope he's all right, Bellamy. I'm quite interested about what's kind of next for the Melbourne Storm, because they've had this kind of nightmare situation with all these players out, players leaving. I think the Eli Katoa loss is still underrated from his year last year. Like, his grand final was epic, and I wonder what's next for the Storm. Like, Harry Grant's never won a comp. That must burn him. Like, and who will take over from Bellamy, if it's going to be his son or Ryan Hinchcliffe, or I know Jason Riles was waiting in the wings there for a few years, but then Bellamy just kept on going on, so he joined the Eels. I wonder if this is the beginning of a slow slide for Melbourne, or if that's very foolish and they'll be back at a even win-loss record before we know it. So, yeah, I wonder who's going to take over from him.
Yeah, it's interesting. I suppose when you go back, like, obviously Billy Slater, whether he would be interested in he'd be someone you could definitely bring in. Absolutely synonymous with Melbourne, and if he wanted to go down that path, I don't know if Cameron Smith has any attributes. He's now up in Brisbane, but with the family and that, so I'm not sure. But mate, they're a pretty successful club. Like I said, it'd be interesting because a lot of, for 20 years, a lot of the success has been from the top down with Craig. So I feel like anyone who's come through, it'll be someone who's come through the system. It won't be an outsider it'll be someone who Craig's had a lot to do with, and in setting that up that comes through. I'm sure of that. Yeah.
Because there was Spruik on his son, wasn't there, as a coach for a while. I wonder if that roses off the bloom a little bit with the last 8 or 9 weeks, but we'll see what pans out there. Yeah. Munster and Grant, their form's been questioned heading into Origin. Is this farcical or?
It's the worst thing you could possibly do. Like, if you're talking, like, obviously they'll be slightly down on confidence, but mate, when you take guys out of a struggling club side to play in a team of the elite, mate, like, it can change in a heartbeat, So, yeah, I think it's absolutely ludicrous to, think that they won't pick either of those guys. Those guys will be there for sure.
Surely Munster retains a captaincy after last year as well.
Mate, 100%. He'll be there. There's no way he won't be. Harry Grant will be there, and they'll play good series. There's no doubt about that.
Anyone else caught your eye from? I don't know. You probably don't want to really talk about it. Anyone caught your eye from a Queensland point of view? The Courier Mail, I believe, reported there might be up to 12 changes. Shibasaki's been struggling. Kurt Mann, Val Holmes, Coates, and Papali are injured. Any bolters for Queensland or anything has been in form that's asking for a spot?
Oh, look, I feel that the Cowboys are in some form. Look, I'd like
Tom Dearden was outstanding.
Tommy did, and I think Tommy will be there for sure. Like, I would think, well, that's pretty much what it was last year, wasn't it? Dearden and Munster, I'd assume it would be there. Tommy won't miss out. Helam Lukey, big chance coming back from. To be interesting what they picked. Obviously, Jeremiah Nanai has only just come back in, but obviously very talented player. But the one thing about Bill, he understands the game so much, and a lot of what he picks is what guys do off the ball. It's not the bits that everyone sees and the highlights. Because there's guys that can do these amazing things, but he watches for those little moments and their habits away from the footy, because that determines, what wins and loses Origin games. So whoever he picks, mate, Bill's very smart. He'll pick a side that will turn up and play, with a heap of passion and like they do, but hopefully we pick a side that'll play with even more and we smoke them.
Yeah, we can't make the mistake of underrating Queensland going into another series. That's just foolish. I'm quite intrigued by the selection in the forwards from both states, actually. A couple of injuries, like Mitch Barnett, I'm not too sure about. Max King, probably not. And then from a Queensland side, they'll probably pick Tino, but he's not in the best of form. And yeah, forwards are so important in Origin. I think the halves from both states kind of pick themselves. So it'll be interesting to see which way Laurie and Slater go on that front.
Who have you got as New South Wales halves?
I think they'll go with Moses and Cleary.
Yeah,
I can't see anyone else.
Yeah, no, I think they've got to be picked. I thought, I like to be fair, I was a bit of a critic of Moses early on in his career. I thought he was a little bit, looked really good if they won by 50 and blew sides away. And I thought sometimes there was question marks when they were, tight, tough games. But, mate, I think he's developed so much as a player. I thought he was awesome in last year's series, and then he got injured and they sort of missed him. So I think he's suited to Origin footy, playing flat over the ad line. So I'd definitely have Moses and Cleary there.
I like the idea of Cleary being a bit wider and playing a bit that second receiver role like he did in that grand final a couple of years ago. I don't think they'll do it. They'll keep him at 7. But as you've said before, it's a bit of a different structure in Origin, isn't it?
I think that's we've said for a while. Like, the hard thing is they can't. If you go in with like Yowie and the halves at Origin, they can't always be playing out the back of the forwards, and that's a big thing that Penrith do. But I do think probably more this year than ever that you've seen Nathan catch the ball at first receiver and touch it multiple plays in a row and things like that. So I just hope they get their game right, understanding that ruck identification is the biggest attribute you can have in State of Origin, and when you get on the front foot and get a quick play of the ball, you need to be asking questions of the defence. So hopefully they get it right and they play well.
We've had a few more players go down. We've lost apparently Angus Crichton's in doubt now as well. Mark's gone down. They had a horror injury list. Who jumps on that wing? Does someone like Alex Johnston finally get some chocolates? Do we look at playing Edwards or on the wing, something like that?
I reckon you're looking at that Bostock comeback who was unreal. What's the name's big tall lad from South? Campbell Graham.
Oh, Campbell. Yeah.
Campbell Graham.
Yeah, really, fantastic defensive player.
Really good option there.
Adokar, Jenkins.
What else? I reckon I'd have those other two above them. Even that Casey McLean.
Yeah.
He's a good player. I don't think you can pick him in centre, but was at Kiwis.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He played for the Kiwis and was outstanding.
Yeah.
He's a good player.
Yeah.
So I think they're sweet with outside backs, like guys that, I didn't sort of think about originally. But, yeah, I think they've got a heap. Like, Latrell's there. He's a certainty.
Critter.
Crichton will be there. Providing those two are fit and healthy, they'll be there. Obviously, Bizza is a lock on one. You've got, plenty of competition for that other wing spot. I think Dill Edwards will be fullback. There's a bit of talk about Dill or Teddy. I think Dill's a fullback. Cleary and Moses, we said, there's your back line, dependent on that one wing spot. And then get into the packs, interesting.
So, two more. So we've gone without Crichton. Does young Olakuatu become first pick? Cam Murray on an edge?
Cam Murray will be there for sure in some capacity. Hudson Young, he's playing really good. Olakuatu's been on fire lately, hasn't he? So, New South Wales have never had a shortage of back rowers. Like, we've had some really... Like, Hudson Young's played on the bench off everything. He's playing awesome footy. So, again, I think... Again, like what you got to do, you got to have a look at all their habits, and there's a lot of them that have got the big highlight reels, and I've never really, I've had no reason to sit there and go right into what they're doing. But if you're the coach, if you're Laurie, you've got to watch all their efforts away from the ball, because they're the things that'll get you unstuck. You can have. And this is not saying Olakuatu's like that, but you might have a big guy, big body like Olakuatu, who'll have all their highlights, can do things no one can. But if you catch him that he switches off at different times, mate, that gets caught out in Origin. You just can't get away from that. So you'd have to have a deep look into a lot of their habits and what they're doing, and I think that'll go a long way to who they pick.
Who do we reckon at prop? Are we going Haas if he's fit, and then Stefano, or who?
Well, Haas, is he going to be fit? I don't think he's going to be fit.
No.
I think Fennell Blake will be there.
Yep.
Maybe Colomatungi. Kalamatangi in the
is he
middle.
New South Wales?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. He's been playing good footy.
Would you pick Terrell May now?
I think the thing with, again, you'd have to go through and watch them very closely around their movements. Obviously, for Noah Blake, there was a lot of talk he's eligible. I think there's plenty of good ones there. I don't think you pick Stefano from.
Not on form.
No, I think that's hard to pick anyone out from Melbourne at the moment. I don't really know all the.
Alex Twala bolter for the bench now.
Take your Tigers hat off.
He's playing well. He's playing good.
I'll tell you what, he's playing good footy.
Yeah.
And the interesting bit is this year with the 19-man bench.
Yeah.
You've got the possibility of maybe having some guys there that are picked specifically for, you might have a real attacking threat to go, you know what, we don't need to use him if we don't, but if things are all working well, or, we're on top and we can just use someone to just come on, just all out attack to blow a game open, we can use him there. I reckon you can be interesting to sit down and think about how you actually use that 6-man bench, because you can go down a few avenues and have, if the game goes like this, if we just need to go all out defence and hang on, we can go this way. If we need to chase points or we need to find points, we can go this way. I think, the bench this year will be so interesting just because we've never had that option. Yeah. For so long, you've had to pick a bench that could navigate injuries in all sorts of areas, where this year you don't have to do that. You can pick your sort of what you think's going to happen, and then you've got your contingency plan. So that'll be such a big play, I think, the bench.
Campbell Graham's a great shout again. You've mentioned him for that bench role, even because he can cover so many positions.
We've got 8 top-class centres that we can squeeze in, and poor old Katoni Staggs got suspended, so he might miss out. Yeah.
Well, I just think Campbell Graham and Bostock, 2 really big bodies, so kick targets, mate, to be able to just jag a try from a kick in State of Origin, that can be a massive play. Yeah. So I think, if you're sitting there on one side and you've got Latrell sitting out there as an aerial target, there's not many better in the air than him, and then you go to a massive tall body like that. Who are Queensland?
Well, they're missing
they've
coats,
got no coats.
Yeah.
If he's the real aerial target for them,
not sure.
Who else are their centres and wingers?
Hammer will be one.
Yeah, Shibasaki, Val.
See, Hammer's good in the air, but I've
Yeah.
also seen guys take the ball over him.
Yeah. That's a good question about the Queensland wingers.
I'm very intrigued at what they pick with their centres and wingers, because last year Slater picked Toya and Shibasaki out from not much NRL experience, and that proved to be a good choice. Hammer will get picked. Val Holmes is a very interesting one. His form at the Dragons hasn't been great.
Oh, was Val left out last year? One of the games?
One of the games, I think, because the gay guy played and Tua. Tua played in his rookie year.
I think, that's a sign. Val, that was last year, and Val was in a side that was doing a little bit better than what the Dragons are now. I think it depends what their outside backstocks are like, but if everyone's sort of healthy, I think Val might struggle, unfortunately. He's a good winger. Again, he'd be a sort of player. You pick him there and he'll kill it.
Wasn't the running joke back in the day, whoever was on the left edge for Queensland, chuck in your same game multi and off you go. That was
especially when they were sitting outside of one Greg English, used to be Darius Boyd and that, the bastard.
Walsh or Ponga fullback?
I think they'll find both of them in the side in some way. I reckon probably Ponga. Ponga's probably a little bit more. Probably can play a bit more versatility, perhaps.
He might be that 18 or 19 where he can play in the middle.
Or 14. I think they can fit him on. Harry Grant can play pretty much a game, can't they? He does most times. So I think, imagine if you bring us, a fresh Kalen Ponga on the field as guys are tiring, I think either way, or you bring like a fresh Reece Walsh on when, geez, that's a dangerous prospect. Like either of those two coming on against your middles where, they're getting tired, geez, that'd be hard to handle.
I really like Max Plass for that Queensland bench as well. He's a good, solid little player. I'm going to put my Tigers hat back on because stuff you.
Go for it.
It was a rough week after I declared her to make the 4 last week. I can stop trains, so they're in trouble now. Poor old Adam Dewey's gone down for 6 weeks. Samela Fainu 6 weeks, and Tavana had a shocking game on the young fella just had a rough night out. They had three tackles in the opposition half in the second half last week, and the third tackle, Jock Madden threw an intercept, and Nico Hines scored. So it was a rough day out there. Can the Tigers bounce back, or was that too much? Was it too much a week? Luai going? Has it been a concern this week in Tigertown?
Well, I think they can bounce back. Obviously, there's a couple of key, like Fainu and Dewey. They've been awesome, unreal for the Tigers. I think Appy was a big out. He has a big impact on that side. Just the way he can, dictate their ruck, bring them onto the ball, and all that sort of stuff. I think maybe it was like, what did the Tigers? What's their run been like? They had a few run, but I don't know if they played any of the top dogs that we sort of think are going to be there at the end of the year.
Yeah,
do we?
not really. Yeah, Cronulla one that people spruik.
Yeah.
And Brisbane beat them. The rest of that's been about it. Canberra last year's minor premiers, but they're not with us. So yeah.
So it's a bit like, obviously I think Tigers are going to have a good year. I don't think that game on the weekend changes that. I think the way they look, they're fit, the way they're moving, is panels above what it was last year. So I think they have a good year, regardless. Obviously, their depth will be tested now that they've got a couple of these key guys. So I'm not sure, even because Buller was out.
Buller's out as well. He's got another 4 weeks apparently. So
see, that's a big loss on it. When's Appy back? I didn't see
2 weeks. Yeah,
so you
Origin.
got Appy out, Buller. You got
Fainu, Dewey. They missed KPP on the weekend.
That's a lot. Well, there's 3 of your spine straight away. Like that. That's a big influence on a game. So, they'll just be tested over these few weeks. I still think they'll beat, a lot of the lower sides anyway. But the concern was some of the tries were just busting through. They're very unlike they've shown, and I think that's a concern where you get the glimpses of things changing, but then you have a game where, this is a bit of the old Tigers, just some really poor efforts and things like that.
Yeah, I feel like once Sharks smelt the blood in the water, to use a bad pun, on that left edge, KLR obviously was outstanding, but Toa and Tavana were all at sea, and they just kept hammering him, and that was the game. So nothing for you, Matty?
No, I'm good.
When you have a game like that, or if you're going well and you just have a game where you just get wiped off the park, is it easy to reset, or is it a time to pull back? And are they games you overanalyze, or just go, well, it was a blip, or somewhere in between?
Yeah, I think you've got to analyse it, what happened. But I think you can't afford to dwell on it. Like, you play again next week, so whether you won, whether you lost, it's a bit the same every week. You go. Even if you win, you've still got to look at areas to improve, because you never, you have a good win, but there's always things you can tinker with. Sometimes a loss like that can highlight some areas that you maybe didn't realise. As you're going on those win streaks, you get a little bit complacent, think you're going a bit better than what you were, and then that pulls you back to earth. So I think they move on pretty quickly.
We've got a couple of things I've got to spruik. In a couple of weeks, we're going to have a State of Origin live show with the team reveals. It'll be live with Benny, Jimmy, and potentially a proper host. We'll see. I might get the can for that one. So we'll see what happens there. But looking forward to that. Then we're on the road to Magic Round next week. Oh, you're heading out for Magic Round, aren't you?
I am, yeah.
Have you played it? Did you play the first Magic Round?
No. When was the first Magic Round?
I'd say 2019, 19, I think, yeah.
So I was in 2019. Maybe I did. Maybe I did. Oh,
have you been?
Did. Oh no, that was Coach. Maybe I did actually. Yeah, I think I did.
Well, it must have been memorable. So
No, only because I think I remember being there, like obviously staying, catching up with all the guys in different at the hotels and that, because obviously everyone crosses over and being that. But I couldn't remember if that was with the Cowboys coaching or not. But yeah, I reckon I might have. Obviously, if you're saying 2019, I was there. So
Okay.
Yeah.
How often have you been up since?
Not really. I went up for one day, up and back for the day for an event a couple of years ago. Obviously, I was there with the Cowboys when I was coaching up there. But mate, it's a great concept.
Yeah.
Like it is, and I think Brisbane's a great place to have it because, for any footy fans, they can all grab their mates, and it's an easy sell to the missus that we're all going up for the footy and everyone's team's playing in the one spot, so it becomes everyone's sort of trip to go up there and have a good weekend. So, I think it's a really good concept. Obviously, Brisbane, good spot, good weather.
Have you done it?
No, I haven't been to Magic Round. I went to the first two gather rounds for AFL and went to a few games and popped out to the wineries, which was good fun. But I've only heard good things from my rugby league diehards.
Yeah, my third one in 4 years coming up. Excited. So I'm just saying, it's a pilgrimage now. So I love it. It's one of the highlights of my year. I was going to ask you boys, is it the best sporting weekend on the calendar, or is there one that competes? Is the Melbourne F1, Bathurst, the Cup Carnival?
I don't know. I seen the F1 in Melbourne when I was playing down there years ago. And the one thing obviously Formula One, I don't really get it anyway, but you literally stand there and watch a car go zoom, zoom, and then it's it, and that's it. Like, that's all you do. Like, I think then you're probably watching it on the TVs most of the time anyway, like, because wherever you are on the track, you only see a certain portion of it. So, but Formula One's obviously big. Like, whatever, grand final weekend's a big weekend, whether, because if you got AFL one day, NRL the next day, like, that's a big weekend. I don't know what other ones.
I used to always love going to the first weekend of the Australian Open tennis. There's always heaps of matches on, and something for everyone, whether you just want to chill out with have a few bevies out the back or actually watch some tennis. So Melbourne always turns it on,
Yeah, I've got match round number 1, Boxing Day Test 2. I've done a few of them. Never got to do a Cox Plate weekend before they knocked down Moonee Valley. That would have been high on the list. Any good?
We did that on, was it 2017 World Cup? We played the Friday night. I think the first game in Canberra was Manikato Stakes, and then so we played the Friday night. So then the whole team went to Cox Plate Day on the Saturday. Jeez, it was a ripper.
Well, that was Winks, wasn't it? Yeah, one of Winks.
Yeah, Winks. I stood in the Stewards Tower with a couple of jockeys.
Wow.
That we knew watching her run. I think it was the third one.
Yeah.
That year. So, unreal.
That's outstanding. What a memory. I was there on Black Caviar one in Sydney. That's about the highlight. But we'll save the racing for another time. The Bull kicks off today. Good luck to the punters heading down there. Week ahead, what's got you frothing, boys? We've got a few wacky games coming up. Canberra hosting the Panthers, the Bulldogs heading up to the Dolphins to play the Dolphins, and Sharks and Bunnies, Broncos, Eagles Saturday. So they're probably the highlight games. Anything caught your eye yet, or anything you want to see? Some bounce backs?
I'm interested to see the Broncos and Manly, because I think everyone was talking about Fosball and the run they'd had, and then they come up against Penrith, and everyone was sort of thinking Penrith will just show them and it'll all come crashing down. It definitely didn't.
I thought they were good.
Yeah.
I thought they probably should have won that game.
They had a real, real crack there. So I think.
Did you see Joey Walsh? See much of Joey Walsh finally?
Mate, I thought he was good. Didn't try. I think sometimes when you get this boom on a kid come through, everyone expects them to come and have these big moments where they're setting up tries, doing that. I think the fact that he didn't look out of place is enough. That's when you're playing your first game in the NRL. If you look like you just don't look out of place and that's where you belong, then I think that's enough. So I thought he was good. He had some decent touches, and he had that play at the end, didn't he? Stopped the grubber, regathered, tipped onto whoever it was coming through and that. So I thought he was good.
Agreed. I think that's the game of the round. I'm also interested to see how the Roosters handle this injury crisis. I was just looking through their list before. They just got absolutely ravaged. Playing Titans in Gosford on Friday night, which I think is a bit of a danger game if they're missing 3 or 4 of their key players. I'm interested in the Roosters if they can kind of keep it together and make top 4, and if they're a legit premiership threat, or if it's still kind of Penrith and everyone else going for second.
It is crazy how many teams are now getting real deep into their rosters and are about to throw a couple of other squads on top. It's a bit of a test of depth of the NRL stocks coming up in the next few years, because once a few are out, it becomes real danger signs for some sides. Penrith and the Raiders might be interesting there, and we'll see how the Tugs bounce back. Storm, I reckon, might finally bounce back to the winning stall this week. So
Who's Storm got?
Tigers.
Ooh.
Missing as we said.
Down on troops.
Yeah, on the backup from last week. Anyway, that'll do us. Thank you, Matty. Good debut.
Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Jimmy. Good as always, mate. Been a pleasure. Thanks to Bailey on the buttons in there. We'll do it all again next week, guys. Stay tuned to news.com.au. Leave us some comments below. Let us know your sporting highlight of the year, and we'll talk soon.
Bailey on the buttons. Hey,